Hi everyone, I'm Imran. I've been an options trader for over 20 years, and to be honest, that kind of became my identity. The truth is I was also a husband, a father, a brother, a friend, many other things, but they all kind of faded into the background. In the last year, I've been through quite a journey. My marriage fell apart, one of my best friends in the whole world died, and I had to look deep inside myself to see who I had become and whether that was who I actually wanted to be. I went down the rabbit hole of identifying my childhood traumas and how they manifested in my personality and the way that I showed up in my relationships. It's all still very much a work in progress. I joke and I call this the healed trader, but at least now I catch myself and I can be more conscious and hopefully be a better dad to my kids. This podcast is my way of documenting my journey that I'm still on. I hope you can relate, and I hope something from my experience can help you along the way. Thanks. Hey everyone, it's Imran, and this is the first episode of The Healed Trader. I've got Dave Brickell here, and me and Dave are actually on another podcast called Crypto Options Unplugged that you may have watched if you're into that sort of thing. But actually, we've got a lot more to talk about than just crypto. And, when I found out Dave was, also in his 40s, also got kids, been on his own spiritual journey, I was like, mate, I think we're going to have to do something else other than this crypto show. So today's episode, we've got a load of topics lined up over the next few months to talk about. But today's topic is about more money, more problems. What do you reckon, mate?
Well, it's a very often a very true saying, right? More money, more problems. But I'd maybe rephrase that a little bit. More money doesn't make your problems go away is probably how I'd kind of think about it. I think there's... And certainly I was kind of in my early career, and I grew up, just a bit about me, I grew up in a very working class background. Money, or the lack of money, was probably was probably like the biggest point of stress in our household. Right. Really lucky I grew up in a really good home, like loving mum and dad, still together. So had a massive advantage in that sense, but money was like the thing that was the big kind of point of tension constantly, and I just remember it constantly being a tension. So when I came into the work world, was lucky enough to go to university. It was easier back then than it is today, and sort of came out, went into banking.
But that motivation to go into banking, because where did that come from? Was that like you just knew there was loads of money in that, or? Yeah.
I studied economics. I always loved economics, but that kind of the money path. I also, from like the age of like 10 up to about 16, I played football for West Ham in like youth team, and I had an opportunity to basically sign YTS that would have meant me leaving like school at 16 to go and pursue that.
Oh wow!
And
skills.
But we took, obviously speaking about it to my mum and dad. My dad was actually a really good footballer and never kind of made it, and it was kind of like, look, one or two are going to make it. The safer option for you. It's all about security. The safer option.
Oh, the safer option.
Stick with your A levels. Go down that route, and if you're good enough, you'll make it at a later date. And maybe as well, like maybe my heart wasn't enough into the football side, and it was the right path. But I kind of, the regret around that was the decision on the path that I took was centered around this idea of trying to play it safe, trying to have a sense of security around, it was kind of like, I joke now, like you can be an accountant, like, you can, like, with a reasonable degree of, certainty.
I'd rather not think. My dad was one.
Yeah, but like, there's a reasonable level of certainty that you can make it down that path if you're half decent with maths, right? And if you go down that path, there's a certain amount of income you're going around, and you're going to be okay. And parents just want you to be safe, right? They just want you to be okay, and you kind of take that on, So you kind of So going into banking was like, banking always felt, I mean, it's a volatile career actually, but it felt there's lots of money to be made and it's kind of a safe path. And that was kind of the initial driver. And then, like, to your point, as time went on and the money did come, and by the way, I don't want to downplay the importance of money, because it is important up to a certain level, I think. But certainly, like, more money makes life easier and it gives you options. But ultimately, for me, money is actually about freedom, like, and freedom of choice. I think there is more freedom of choice than what we think, but we put these limitations around ourselves, that until I get the money. But yeah, I started, as the money started to come, I started just to feel very unfulfilled in what I was doing at the time. And it kind of, I had that, I'd been on quite a journey in a way spiritually, because actually my lack of fulfillment in my career, even though things were going really well, and I was even, like, really happy in my personal life, and but I kind of felt something was missing. Like, and I wasn't living a life of purpose. I was waking up every day just to go make bank money, and it was it really felt empty. And I kind of had a moment where I was like, I need more than this out of my life, because when that day comes, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm probably going to look back and go, oh, there's so much more I could have done. So much more than just going in and running that, hamster wheel, and feeling like I wasn't really, like, really adding enough value or to it. I now work in a tech startup, and I feel like I actually, I'm able to bring a lot more of myself into that, and it just feels more fulfilling.
It's the creative expression.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
When you go into a safe job like banking, it's not about creativity, right? You tick the boxes, you get paid your salary, you go home, you move on, right? I mean, like, just a little bit about my background. So for me, my dad was an immigrant into this country. He was an accountant. He worked really hard to make some money. He wasn't qualified, but he managed to, get enough money together to buy a house and bring us up and give us an education. But throughout our younger years, he'd constantly be drumming into us, you need to get a good education so you can get a good job, so you can make loads of money, so you can be secure. That was drummed in so much into me and my older brother's brains that was what we did, right? And the problem is, when you do that, you kind of, you don't really tap into who you are. You just become a version that you think you're expected to be, right?
Yeah.
So you get your grades, you do your work, you get the job, you get the promotion, you do all these things. And the idea is, you've kind of been sold this dream that if I make enough money, then the happiness will just come automatically. But as you're growing up, what you don't do is cultivate passions, right? If, for example, my daughter right now, she loves art. It's all she wants to do, right? She's so passionate about it. And she can just be on her own for 3 hours doing art and she'll be happy as Larry, right?
Yeah.
There was nothing in my childhood that I loved that much, that I was encouraged to do, that would just make me happy and at peace, basically, right?
Yeah.
So we get into our 30s and 40s in a career where we've chased the money. And the point you made about freedom, I always thought, but when people have said the question, can money make you happy? I was like, yes, because it gives you freedom. And freedom is what really makes you happy. Now, there's a caveat there, right? Freedom to do what, right? If you don't know how to make the right choices for yourself to be happy, then the freedom that money gives you is bloody useless to you, right? Yeah. Because you get people who've made billions and they're still miserable, right? Because they don't understand how to choose the things that truly make them happy. Yeah. Right. So you don't just need the freedom, you need the awareness and the consciousness of yourself about what will actually make you happy, what will actually fulfill you. Then money has a chance of making you happy.
Yeah, no, completely. And it's actually a huge risk, because definitely I feel this about, and by the way, this isn't like for some people that doing that, being the accountant, all those things will bring them the fulfillment. It wasn't for me. And I actually feel there's a lot of people I worked with that were trapped in that. But the biggest risk people make is this idea that I'll get to a point where I make enough money that then I can leave and then go and explore all these things. And you typically, your lifestyle just kind of grows to that, and you actually become entrapped by it, and it's never enough. It's never enough, like however much money you've got. and B, it's a risk because like the biggest thing we all have is time, right? The biggest thing, like time is so important. So, you know, like I kind of got to a point where I was like I don't want to get to say mid-50s, like early 60s, be retired with all this money and then go, right, my best years or, you know, have kind of gone, and I was just kind of waiting for this moment, but I can't get that time back anymore. And I kind of hit that point where I need to live with purpose every day. I need to, Warren Buffett, someone said to Warren Buffett, you know, when will you retire? And he was like, doing what I do is this is me being on the golf course.
It's not a job.
This is my retire. This is me doing what I love every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like retiring implies, like, you know, you want to stop doing something because to go and then, you know, pursue things that you're really sort of passionate about. And I thought, you know what, if I can make every day something that I wake up with purpose and passion what I'm doing, so that I actually don't sit there and go, you know, I just want to get to this retirement point, you know, so that I can then start pursuing that. Can I not incorporate all the things in my life and the lifestyle that I want in and combine that with the job and work and money and all those things?
But you know what the irony is? The people who pursue a life of purpose and fulfillment, because, and I started to feel this when I started to do my teaching job, right? When I started my business, because I always wanted to be a teacher from when I was a young kid, but I didn't do it because there wasn't enough money in it, right? But when you start following your purpose and you start doing something that really speaks to your soul, you unlock a load of energy. Yeah. You don't feel like you're working. You go into more of a flow state and you do your best work. And guess what happens when you do your best work and you do something you're genuinely good at? You're amazing at it and you make loads of money, right? Yeah. Ironically, you make more money when you do something that you love and you do it to the best of your ability, right? Yeah. And when you stop focusing on the money, and you've seen this, so many entrepreneurs who this story is for, so many of them have this story where when they started pursuing what they really cared about, that was when they got all the success in the world.
Yeah, like I've read and studied a lot around entrepreneurs. Again, it's like an obsession, but actually not just the money. For me, it's like the mindset around what makes that person. And actually, like every entrepreneur you read about will tell you that like the money's the byproduct, like of the success of, you know, building a business or, you know, the challenges around that, which is why they become billionaires and they don't stop. That, you know, if you're Richard Branson or, you know, what you sell the business now and chill out. It's like, it's not about the money for him. No. It's about the challenge,
building.
And it's and it's a very kind of almost primal instinct in all of us to want to create, like, and to want to take an idea and develop it and see it kind of manifest.
It's like bringing up a kid.
Yeah.
I think of my business as my third child.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And there's something really satisfying in that. Unfortunately, like a lot of us, and through really good reasons, you get kind of stuck in doing a job where you're not really actually using that kind of creative process or going through that creative process. You can find elements of it within your job, but often we're not. And I actually think the world we're going into, this kind of AI-driven world, where actually process-driven type functions that normally humans would do will be replaced. And on the one hand, that's scary. On the other, I think it's going to force people to live more sort of purposeful lives and go into jobs or areas of work where they need their creativity. Because if it's just kind of ticking boxes, well, then an AI, you know, bot is going to do that better than you will. So I actually kind of feel quite hopeful and optimistic about where society is going to be in the coming years, and where for our children what that world's going to look like. Because I don't think you'll be an accountant, because it'll be, well, we've got AI bots that are accountants, so what are you going to do? And then you start having to think about, well, what am I passionate about? What do I love? When does time stop? You know, what activity am I engaged in when time stops? And that's probably the thing you should be pursuing. That's probably the thing you should be doing.
I think that's great advice. I think that's right. And it's never too late, right? I'm 44. I think you're similar in age to me, right? And
43, yeah.
I've started learning how to play the drums this year.
Yeah.
Right, literally, just because I've always loved the drums, and I got my kid a little drum kit, and I ended up playing it more than he did. I was like, maybe there might be something there. But like you said, I think certainly how I was brought up, you were always, if you did something, there had to be a point to it, right? If you did something, you were going to achieve something. Otherwise, don't bother wasting your time, right?
Yeah.
And that is completely the wrong way to think, right? You want to tap into things that you like doing just for the sake of doing those things, right? Because they're fun, they speak to your soul, there's something about them that just makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
If you tap into that, that's when you tap into true creativity and you find what you're passionate about. And I agree with you what you're saying about the future, whether it's for yourselves, whether it's for your kids, you've got to tap into the creativity side of things, because AI can do computation hell of a lot faster than we can, and it always will, and it's only getting faster.
Yeah.
Right?
Joe, the other thing, and going back to like the more money, more problems idea, is that the irony is actually the chase of money, I think, kind of distracts from your problems and your childhood traumas and all those things that you're kind of living out. And in a weird way, there's almost this sense of whilst the chase is on, whilst you can actually live with once I get there, then everything goes away. Like those sort of that kind of pain and suffering that I feel and that I'm going through, once I've got to this point, whatever point we seem to think that is, then that kind of pain and suffering will go away. And I actually think why there's you look at some really successful people across the world of sport and entertainment who have made the money, got there, and have gone into depression, and they've done that because they get to that point, this ideal point in their life. So they've done everything they wanted and achieved success, beyond their wildest dreams, and they've still got like the pain of that that inner child that needed healing, and the money doesn't make any difference.
You're thinking of Johnny Wilkinson, aren't you?
Right? Well, there's that. Yeah,
One of
there is that. Yeah, like he speaks really like eloquently about all that stuff and how that's changed him. And then like I don't know if you've seen on Netflix Jonah Hill, the documentary with I think it's called Struts, the kind of psychologist that he worked with, and they talk about exactly that. Like you have this image of once all of that's done, then I won't feel this pain. But if you can accept that there's things that I don't need dealing with, and actually the money, the success isn't gonna deal with that.
Not gonna heal it. Right?
It's not gonna heal it.
No.
You have to address that, and in fact, you'll find that things in your life will keep coming back to haunt you, if you like, because it's kind of in there, and until you release that, you'll always feel trapped, and it'll never be enough. And you'll feel you go and do the movie, and you'll make a load of money, and it won't. If you don't feel like you're enough, it won't satisfy that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the journey that you're on, that I'm on, and been on for a long time, of going back inside, going inside yourself. What makes me happy? What do I love to do? What are the things that bother me? It's really important that we kind of understand that about ourselves. But when you do, the same as I've gone down this route, you've gone down it. There will be things in your life that want to change and disrupt, and because you're actually kind of living a life that's not really true or authentic to who you are, and it's scary. It's scary, right? Because you kind of go, I just put me back in that world. It was safer when I worked in a bank and wasn't in crypto, with crypto blowing up and startups going bust, and but you go, do you know what? I can't. Once you have that sense of enlightened feeling of, my mission now is to know myself and seek my fulfillment and happiness, and also accept the trauma and to want to feel it and let it go. Once you're down that path, you're like, I don't ever want to go back to that.
That's right. Once you pass the Rubicon, once you get comfortable being uncomfortable, then you recognize the benefits of that feeling, because you can really only grow in that space, right? If you're going to be in a space of comfort, you're not going to grow, right? And the authenticity point, that's my goal now going forward. I know for a fact I spent about 20 years being completely inauthentic to myself, right? And I didn't really know who I was and what mattered to me. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the many things. And we're probably going to talk a bit more deeply about that point in another episode.
And
But
I will just finish on one thing on
Go on
that
then.
because it's important. I think there's a book, I think it's called Bronnie Ware, and she was a palliative care nurse, and so spent lots of time with people that were dying at the end. And she wrote a book about like the number one or the lessons she learned from people and they're basically dying and like their number one regrets. And the number one regret of most people in that moment when it's coming to the end is that they didn't spend life being more of themselves and more authentic, like, and more true to themselves. And when I heard that, that really resonated with me because I was like, yeah, like I don't want to do that. Like I want to be myself and live out myself. And I felt like I wasn't able to do that in the world that I was in before. And yeah, so now we're all, you know, I'm trying to, as much as I can, sort of understand who I am and try and live that out in my life, in my work, in my family life, with my friends, trying to be that person.
yeah, man, sounds good. But this is a good start, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, anyone who's watched this episode, we hope you enjoyed it. And like I say, this is a new project for us. We're just putting it out there.
Yeah, and you know, interested to get everyone's thoughts and comments.
For sure. Yeah, if it resonated with you, if you've got anything you want to add, something you think we didn't touch on that makes sense, then yeah, put a comment and reach out. Thanks. Catch you next time.